loves. I'm Shawn Coleman, and I am a professional cuddler and also a connection and consent coach. And today I want to talk very specifically about what consent is. Sorry, had an itch. Anyway, so consent at its purest, simplest form is basically just asking for something and getting a yes. Now, people often say getting a verbal yes, which I think is a good idea in most cases. Like whenever that's possible, by all means, get that verbal yes. And if you're with someone who can't give you a verbal yes for whatever reason, then perhaps you're getting a written yes, or perhaps you find another way to communicate yes, or to communicate no through some other type of body language or some other type of very clear communication that you have decided upon. But again, I encourage you to get that consent either with a verbal yes or with another clearly communicated way that you've decided on with that person. Cool. Now, when do you get consent? That can be very tricky. I really love the way that Caitlin V, who is a sex coach and also a YouTuber, describes this. And she says that you need to get consent anytime you alter someone else's experience. So I'll say that one more time. Get consent anytime you alter someone else's experience. And she goes on to say that that's whether you are turning on a television or whether you are turning on a human being, It's a good idea to get consent. It's important, and depending on what you're doing, it might legally be required for you to get consent. So it's a very good idea for us to get into the practice of regularly asking for consent when people are involved and when we're altering other people's experiences. So I invite you to take some time to really think about that. If you have some feedback around that, comment down below. I also will link Caitlin's video so people can check that out as well and get a clearer understanding of what she means by that. Cool. So I'm gonna break down consent in 3 parts. First off, I'm going to spell out the 3 parts for you, and it'll help me remember. I'm also going to look down at my notes real quick while I do this so that, again, I can remember. So number 1, get specific. Number 2, check in as you settle in. And number 3, ask how the person is feeling. Cool. So number 1, get specific. And I mean, don't just ask, can I touch you? Because that's uncomfortable for many people. For me, that makes me feel incredibly afraid, terrified even, because I'm not sure what the person wants, especially if I'm with somebody who's new to me, who I haven't really had very much experience cuddling with or connecting with. I don't know what they mean by that. So I encourage you to get as clear as you can in terms of the part of the body that you want to touch, in terms of how much pressure you want to apply, and in terms of how you want to engage. Do you want to give a firm shoulder massage, perhaps? Would you like to gently stroke someone's arm back and forth? Would you like to hold hands, interlocking fingers? Or would you like to hold hands the other way? I don't remember what the other way is called. But yeah, so doing that type of thing, and then continuing to check in, getting as clear as you possibly can. And the person might still have some questions for you, being open to answering those questions about the how, That helps us all to get as clear and specific as possible so that we can allow a person to not only give consent, but to give informed consent, because they know what you're actually asking and they don't have to imagine what might occur in your head. Cool. Check in as you settle in. So if you decided that you want to snuggle with somebody and they've said yes to that, and you're gonna spoon, and you're like, hey, is it cool if I'm the big spoon, and they say yes to that, and you proceed to start big spooning them, once you are starting to move in and you're putting your arm under them, perhaps putting the other arm over them, I encourage you to check in and say, hey, is it cool if I put my arm here? Or are you good with us wrapping our legs around each other? How do you feel about me slowly stroking your arm with this hand? Things like that are good to check in about. as you're getting settled in. Because like before you're fully settled in, this all exists as kind of a theory. Like, I think I'm into being spooned, but I don't know exactly what it will feel like. I don't know exactly how it will play out. So, you know, check in as you're getting settled in to make sure that person is on board with that, to see if they want to change their arm positions, or asking like, hey, you know, where would you like me to place my hand? Could also work as well, depending on what feels comfortable for you, what's natural to you, and what might feel best for that person. Cool. Ask how, number 3, sorry, that was number 2, check in as you settle in. And number 3 is ask how the person is feeling. So ask how the person is feeling or how they're doing after you've settled in. So maybe you've been like snuggling and cuddling or spooning for like 10-15 minutes, you know. The person might be perfectly fine. They might want to cuddle and snuggle in that position all night. Great, whatever. If you're up on board with that, fantastic. And after you've been doing that for a little bit, there is a high likelihood that, you know, somebody's arm is starting to fall asleep, or that somebody wants to switch to the other side to feel more balanced, or that someone has had a new thought about, you know, how they want to shift the position of their legs or something else. And so I encourage you to check in and see if you're still both feeling comfortable, if you're feeling relaxed, if you're both happy about where things are, and you both feel free and able to get up, you know, if you don't want to be in that position anymore. Because you might be tired of being in that position, the person might be getting warm, you know, or again, the arm might be getting tired or something like that, or the person might just simply not feel like cuddling anymore. Giving the person like the invitation, extending that invitation for that person to check in with themselves and figure out what it is that they actually want in that moment is a gift. And it's an important gift that allows both of the people to feel safer. Or if you're cuddling with a group, to allow the whole group to experience more safety, more comfort, knowing that they are in a position that people actually like and are on board with, you know? And I encourage you to do that throughout, again, because it's very natural that people might have different things that come up for them, or they might change their mind. They may have been super into the idea of it, but like after you actually got settled into position, they've changed their mind, and that's totally cool. Like, that's actually one of the rules in Cuddle Party, is that everybody has the right to change their minds. You have the right to change your mind. A lot of us have gotten in trouble in the past for changing our minds, for asking if we can cuddle or snuggle and things like that, and then deciding like, actually, I know we've only been doing this for 30 seconds, but I don't want to do this. This actually feels really, really warm, or whatever the case may be. You don't have to give a reason. You can if you want to, but yeah, regardless, you always get to change your mind. You know, if both people are really, truly at choice, that's always going to be true. And I especially encourage you to check in with people about how they're feeling if you want to escalate things or if you want to change things. So this is if you want to continue that massage, maybe. Like if you are massaging the shoulders and that feels great, and you like kind of feel like a natural urge to move up to the neck and to like the back of the head, like, oh my gosh. Like for me, I love that. And it's a good idea to check in. You know, you got consent, you got permission to massage those shoulders, but if you haven't yet gotten specific permission or consent to move up to the neck, move up to the head, then you need to ask about that. And that way you make sure that the person is on board, and that allows you to feel more at ease knowing that you've gotten permission, you've gotten clear consent, and also you know that the person is more likely to be on board if they've said yes along the way versus if they just said yes that one time at the beginning. You know, you get to check in and see like, yeah, they're still into this, which is a pretty cool thing. Along that line, I encourage you to give people a lot of space so they can feel more safety in saying that, you know, so checking in and allowing them to to say yes or no. Giving them that space can mean like not proceeding or talking over them, but giving them a little bit of time to actually check in with their bodies, to actually state whatever it is they want to state, or to perhaps talk through it a little bit, you know? Like, it's nice sometimes when people can just clearly say yes real quick, and like they know instantly that like, yes, I am so into you rubbing on the back of my neck and my head as well. Like, oh gosh, I'm so into that. And it's incredibly useful information when a person tells us this, no, they're not into that, you know, and we can go back to doing the thing that they want the most, you know, or we can shift positions and allow for this thing that they really want, is a better way of saying that. So yeah, like, that's what I encourage you to do, to make sure that people feel more comfortable stating their yeses as well as their nos, and comfortable asking for the things that they might want, you know, knowing that you are allowing them to do so. Another quick tip from Cuddle Party is when a person gives you a no, to say something like, thank you for taking care of yourself. So allow that person to say the no and gracefully accept that, and maybe even honor them in some way with a thank you, so that they know that you're on board with them taking care of themselves, and they know that you will feel comfortable with them doing that in the future as well. Because that creates more comfort, more safety, and allows for a more relaxed, wonderful experience. All right, I hope you're having a beautiful day, and I will talk to you next time. Bye, loves.